Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Yesterday in Kielce, Law and Justice Party President Jarosław Kaczynski announced the launch of the party's election programme and that a comprehensive presentation of the ruling party's programme will be held in Konskie on Saturday. 3 programme proposals have already been implemented. Free medicine for children, teenagers and seniors, the 800+ programme for children and free state highways. Today, Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki announced another item of the programme, friendly neighbourhoods.
Law and Justice has launched a proper campaign program offensive. From Monday to Saturday, the ruling party will present more proposals. The program, as it is usually with us, covers a huge range of issues, sometimes even quite detailed, such as the tradition of our party. But there are points that are worth presenting, worth showing, because they are really important. No more junk and doors glued together with an adhesive tape. The Friendly Housing Estate program plans to modernize thousands of large slab blocks of flats built in Poland since the 1960s. It's a program that calls for the installation of elevators where they don't exist, especially in over 4-story high apartment buildings, the expansion of garages, parking spaces, thermal modernization, replacement of gas, electric where needed, water and sewage systems, but also photovoltaics on the roofs of these apartment buildings. According to Law and Justice, the living conditions of some 8 million Poles who live in apartment buildings made of large slabs should be improved. So about 1/4 of Poles live in apartment buildings built of large slabs, ones that were mostly inherited from the communist era, but were also still built at the beginning of the Third Polish Republic, and they need revitalization and also a more friendly environment. The United Right has been investing in housing policy for years. Soon after the elections won in 2015, it announced the Apartment Plus program, which consisted of building low-cost apartments for rent. The Housing Plus program is just one element of this national housing program. On the other hand, if we look at our housing activities as a whole, they are good. They have good results. We have what we wanted most at the beginning, that is an increased amount of housing in Poland and an increased rate of housing availability. The 2% loan was launched this year. The Ministry of Development and Technology's program is open to people under the age of 45 who have neither an apartment nor a house. The idea of Law and Justice burned to the ground. We had several housing programs for 8 years. Now we have a 2% credit program, and because of this, prices in the market have risen. The program that goes precisely in the direction of this loan, which Minister Buda speaks about repeatedly, is a sensational program that is already bringing a lot of interest, a lot of applicants, and it's really booming, while we also can't forget about the people who live in such places that also require some kind of renovation. The cost of revitalization for large panel settlements is at least 5 billion zloty in the first year. The program is planned to last at least 10 years. At the same time, everything must be done to start building housing. Meanwhile, in Poland's big cities in particular, there is a shortage of land for construction. The so-called apartment blocks, which were built over at least 3 decades in the People's Republic of Poland, provide a great opportunity precisely in terms of space, a lot of opportunities for architects to fill in this often green space. The Law and Justice Convention will be held this Saturday in Konskie. During the event, the entire program of the ruling party will be presented.
The Ukrainian Air Force reported that 23 of the 32 Shahed drones with which Russian troops attacked Ukraine on Sunday night were shot down. Ukraine has a new defense minister, Rustem Umerov. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he had reached an agreement on the training of Ukrainian pilots in France. Ukraine has become stronger. We have new agreements with our partners on defence packages. And, by the way, today in a conversation with French President Macron, we discussed which new deliveries can help our soldiers. We discussed the protection of our Odessa region. There is a very important agreement on training our pilots in France. Our coalition of modern fighters is becoming stronger. Already, 4 ships have sailed through our new alternative sea corridor from our southern seaports. And we are working with our partners around the world to restore the regular operation of the grain corridor, which has ensured and should ensure food safety on a global scale. I'm grateful to everyone who is helping with this. This is the 588th day of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The Russians have launched a massive drone attack on fuel depots in the Odessa region used to supply Ukrainian military vehicles. The invading vehicles carried out attacks on Ukrainian military personnel and equipment, such as armoured vehicles and artillery towards Kupiansk, Krasny Liman and Donetsk. In turn, the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces has issued a report showing that 25 battles have taken place on the front line over the past 24 hours, with the Ukrainians recording significant successes. According to the report, Ukrainian air forces, rocket and artillery units have struck Russian military and equipment concentration areas, Russian artillery, and other strategically important targets. President Vladimir Zelensky dismissed Ukrainian Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov from his post and appointed Rustem Umerov, the former head of Ukraine's State Property Fund, in his place. He will be held accountable for what he has done while serving as Minister of Defense, for the prices of food for the army, for the uniforms. I think this is a timely change. There were many reports in the media saying that his ministry was involved in corruption in the area of procurement. When he explained himself on TV or on the internet, I didn't hear any reasonable explanations from him. It is difficult to judge because we don't know many of the facts, but I believe what he did was for the good of Ukraine. I think he was a good defense minister and did his job well. It seems that everything was fine. I liked his behavior and what he did. It was not without scandal, that is why the resignation. The new defense minister, Umerov, is a good choice. Prior to his political career, Rustem Umerov was a businessman and also advised the leader of the Crimean Tatars. During the war with Russia, the new defense minister participated in negotiations on the grain agreement and the return of Azov regiment soldiers to their homeland. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said after his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Sochi that he believes a solution will be found soon, allowing the resumption of the grain agreement which enabled Ukraine safely to export its agricultural products across the Black Sea. In preparation for the summit meeting, the two countries' foreign ministers had met earlier in Moscow. Hakan Fidan, Turkey's foreign minister, announced that the Kremlin was making the resumption of the grain agreement negotiated with the help of Turkey and the United Nations conditional on being able to export its own products. Reuters reported that Putin and Erdogan discussed the so-called grain deal on the export of Ukrainian grain across the Black Sea, as Turkey is trying to get Moscow to re-enter it. In July, Russia refused to renew the agreement, which allowed the export of some 33 million tons of Ukrainian agricultural products through the Black Sea ports. The Kremlin argued that its decision was because of problems exporting its own food and fertilizers, which it now expects to be removed. Erdogan has repeatedly stressed the importance of resuming the initiative, and it's been key to avoiding food crises in Africa, Asia and the Middle East. The Spanish authorities said that 2 people died and 2 were missing as sudden torrential rains caused heavy flooding in central Spain overnight on Sunday, shutting roads, subway lines and high-speed train connections. The downpour transformed streets into rivers in Madrid and in the Castile, Catalonia and Valencia regions. Hail also fell in many areas. Heavy rain flooded Toledo's industrial area on Monday, submerging roads and disrupting travel. I'm too stressed. The road is really wet. We can't drive and there are many people.
Yeah, it was really crazy. We kept going outside and we were looking at the clouds. We're like, okay, are we going to be safe? What's going to happen? But it just kept raining and all the wind. We were a little scared, but we were indoors, so we were safe.
Several roads in the Madrid region were closed as half a dozen bridges were torn down by water overflowing the riverbanks. We were very worried because we thought the house was going to collapse because of the huge amount of rain that fell. Everyone here is astonished because the bridge is broken. We didn't think this was going to happen, to be honest. The part down here used to be a little bridge, and now it's all river. In the Madrid region, emergency services tackled almost 1,200 incidents overnight, and firefighters and police were searching for one man in the rural area of Aldea del Fresno, southwest of Madrid, the emergency services said. We were sleeping and the neighbour called saying he was getting scared because of the heavy rain. We heard a huge strike, which was this trash bin on my back. After that, the water came into the house as if it were a wave. It went up the stairs and we panicked a bit. We tried to solve the issue the best way possible. We put the dog on the roof and it was a very dramatic half hour. The sudden downpour transformed streets into rivers of mud that dragged cars and trash bins in Madrid, Castilla-La Mancha, Catalonia and Valencia regions. Hail also fell in many regions. 2 people died in the rural area around the central city of Toledo, a police spokesman said. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.